If you want to, I'll play knight d5.
So I play queen, let's say e5.
I'm a clear exchange up.
Yeah, but now
And
how many moves you lost? I mean, I play bishop g6, knight e3. Maybe bishop g6.
You can take an f2, can you?
No,
you're waiting.
d8 check. I will wait. So maybe I'll take it now. But again, look at the position. It's hanging. This knight is not playing. Do you like White's position?
No, I'm just I'm just trying to convince myself, because it seems to me once again that even though I know you're right,
that's very important.
You shouldn't. What have I done wrong as White? What have I done wrong?
You're wrong. You missed bishop e3, and you develop your pieces on inferior positions, because this position is very specific. You cannot just say I play bishop e3, queen d2, rook d1. It's good, because rook d1 was not a development. It's a 1/4 of a move. Rook on d1 in this position is nothing, because knight on d3 cuts two your rooks from the game. So you didn't develop your pieces. You are behind in development.
Fascinating to hear you talking in these abstract terms.
But when it's the development of the piece means that your piece does something on the board, controls X number of squares, attacks opponent's pieces. What your pieces are doing? What is rook on f1 or rook on d1 are doing? What is queen on d2 doing? How you compare the quality of queen on d2 and queen on d6? So all my remaining pieces are better than yours. So that's why so far, before you could equalize the quality of the pieces, you cannot talk about material advantage.
Can White equalize?
I don't know. But d6 was definitely the best chance, because after d6, White could actually, force black to...
I've got to press you. d6, I take with the queen. You play bishop takes rook in the corner. I play rook takes bishop. How do I stay on the board with White?
I would prefer to play with black at this position, but I'm not sure black has a serious advantage. I think black has a playing initiative because black is very comfortable. I don't think black is in danger of losing. So White should play creatively to avoid some major problems. If you want, I could spend
two big threats: knight g4
and
d4.
We could put it in the computer. I mean, I could spend a little bit more time to analyze it, and then maybe I'll come up with a clear answer to your question. White's strategy was wrong, and d6 was the last chance to avoid a disaster, because not playing d6, White definitely got lost. But we have to look at all moves Karpov made, and we have to realize that after missing bishop e3, he did not realize that the danger was very close, and instead of forcing the draw by playing bishop g5, at one point it's the bishop e3, or knight c4 a3, giving back the pawn, Karpov missed a crucial moment of the game. Suddenly, he got in the position where all black pieces were better placed, controlled more squares, and despite the fact he had an extra pawn or even extra exchange, he had difficulty of equalizing, because we have been witnessing a very strong, strange and weird form of domination.
Yes,
and it was everything under protection of knight d3.
It's all about one guy, which Raymond Keane described.
Octopus.
Well, it's a memorable phrase for me. I'm a man who knows something about giant octopus. He says it's a gigantic, centralized octopus.
Yeah, which is true, because this knight attacks, b2, c1, e1, f2, everything.
Tentacles grasping out in all directions, hovering over the key squares in White's position.
It cuts 3 white heavy pieces from being activated. Queen and 2 rooks. So one combination, bishop f5 and knight on d3.
Is it better than a bishop, this knight? A rare exception.
This is not a knight. This is octopus.
New chess principle. Octopus is better than a rook. Okay?
In fact, but this knight doesn't work without a bishop. It needs a protection.
Tandem.
It's a tandem. So we're talking about bishop f5, knight d3 tandem. Otherwise, the knight on d3 will be just pushed away by the rook from d1.
Did you have any classical game in mind? When we see this idea, we think, the man is talking complete sense. We see. Did you have any precedent in mind, or was it?
As for I once probably I told you when we looked at my game with Marjanovic from Malta Olympia that I considered knight on f5 or on f4 if you play black very often is worse of extra pawn, because it's very close to the opponent's king on g8 or g1 and creates a lot of threats. And if the moment the queen appears there, it could be a disaster. So knight on d6 or d3. Or respectively e6, e3, is worse of an exchange, because if knight is there and it's protected by either by rook or by a bishop, it cuts opponent's heavy pieces from being activated. Very often, that's E1, C1, and D1, or E8, C8, D8, those are natural squares for the rooks and for the queen to be activated. So knight placed on D6 or D3.
Did he ever make an active move with a rook in this game, Karpov? I don't think he did he?
No, it's the only thing he could do is he could eliminate this knight by sacrificing a queen. Which probably
we are jumping ahead in the story.
Yes.
We are jumping ahead.
So Karpov played knight A, B1. And again, I think at that time he did not realize how dangerous it is. So H6, bishop H4, and B4. So
yeah, but I think you're underestimating your position. I'm not even certain he could draw with D6. Having looked at it.
Probably. No, he made enough inaccurate moves. Not mistakes, but inaccurate moves. And he put himself in a big trouble. So I guess after B4, White probably is lost.
Maybe he's lost before that. That's what I'm trying to say.
But before, because now we can see that his pieces will be moved to a very awkward squares. I mean, knight E2 is very dangerous. I mean, after G5, it's pretty bad. So knight A4 was a natural move, and now bishop D6. Now, what we see, knight on A4, cut. Knight on B1, cut. Bishop on F3, okay.
But he probably thought he may have had the idea that
somehow B3, knight B2.
Not only that, but driving the bishop from the A7 G1 diagonal was to some degree removing the pressure. It's an automatic thought, but in fact it isn't, is it?
Absolutely. But now you see, we have both files open, E and C. So it's for our rooks. So it doesn't take much imagination to see one of black rooks either on E2 or C2. So he played bishop G3, and now I made a very natural move, rook C8, but later on I discovered that bishop G3 was also enough. Bishop G3 was deserving attention, but I guess rook C8 is a stronger move because it serves or it demonstrates its concept in the purest form. But after B3, black has to find the only move, and this is the move I was very proud of because I found this move at the board. We reached the position, and it is very, it's not even an analysis because we've thrown some pieces. So as a knight on D3, B4, bishop D6. Black has a great position.
Yes.
So why should I analyze further? He played bishop G3. I decided against bishop G3 and knight takes D5. I thought it was not enough. I thought, I could get more. And then after B3, I had to find a move. Now, the black strategy is based on the assumption that knight on D3 is a key piece. So we have to do everything to protect this knight and also to keep white knights from being activated. So white wants to play knight B2. We have to do everything that this move will become impossible. G5. So it's a very simple idea because after knight B2, now we take on B2 and play G4. And bishop E2, rook C2. That's what I've told you already. Rook is penetrating white's camp on the second rank. So it means that after G5, white cannot push the knight from D3. And it means it has to suffer longer. And also G5, it's a move that adding one extra piece for attacking purposes. So G5, it's,
So again, you're telling me this G pawn is a piece.
It is a piece. Yeah, potentially it goes G4. So you have to count as a piece. And look at the domination of black pieces. That's every piece is doing something important. Now look at the white pieces. And he will see the difference. Oh, Karpov took on D6, and again, there's the other moves there. Not.
You had a big time advantage?
Not very substantial, but not very big, because I spent a lot of time on G5. And now Karpov, okay, he played G3, knight D7.
There's some fantastic variation here, trapping the queen. What is it?
Yeah, yes, I'll show you now. G3, and again, I have to find, right solution. What Karpov wants to do, he wants to play knight B2 again, because now he prepares after G4 to play with bishop on G2.
Yeah.
So how to keep my knight on D3 alive? So I found it, knight D7, and suddenly, after knight B2, black has queen F6, knight D3, and if knight takes D3, bishop D3 wins. Knight E5.
Ooh!
And white queen is trapped. So that's phenomenal domination.
Mia, look
the
at
queen is trapped in the center of the board.
It's actually happened in the game. The queen went for the knight on D3.
Yeah. So that's why
what a variation.
White cannot play queen B2, knight B2, and other variations that prove it. So he has to play bishop G2, but then queen F6, and we succeeded. So knight on A4 will not move. Knight on B1 cannot move. Rook on f1 cannot move.
What did he do?
Rook on d1 cannot move.
What did he do?
So he made the only move. He played h3, a5, take, and queen a2. What else he could do? So there were no other moves.
What was his body language like? Was he looking frightened? Was he looking
he was
confused? Or?
More than confused. I mean, that's...
Not only that, not only I don't have any good moves, why don't I have any good moves? What did I do wrong? That's
no, but it's you know, I guess at that time he was trying to understand what he did wrong.
Yes.
Because,
So am I.
he just, at move 25, Anatoly Karpov playing white didn't have moves. So the entire position was paralyzed. So he made the only reasonable move, queen a2, and now bishop g6. So just waiting, please make another move. Now after knight d2, rook goes on e2. So again, he cannot bring his two knights into the game. So he played d6. What else? What else he could do? So he played d6. He realized this pawn is, is a waste, and he hoped that after queen d6 he can bring knight on d2, and then rook e2, knight goes on c4. So that's the line I'm talking about. But who needs this pawn on d6? Play g4. We continue paralyzing his pieces. Maybe I'll play h5 or h4. I mean, I have plenty of moves. He doesn't have any, because knight d2, rook e2. So find the move. So Karpov played queen d2, played back. Okay, king g7. We have time. f3. Now, it's nice. If you play f4, I play bishop a5.
Yes.
And white is still paralyzed. Absolutely paralyzed. I no moves. White has 6 pieces on the board. 6 pieces on the board.
Sure, h5, h4 is a big positional threat.
Yeah, but we have very nice choice of options. So Karpov played f3, which is natural. At least he wants to open his f1, rook of an f1. But now it's time to take this pawn and knight f6. That's a signal for the decisive attack. So knight goes on e4, and there's nothing white can do about it. There is absolutely nothing. So knight goes on e4, and all black pieces will just simply enter white's camp. All black pieces. So that will be a phenomenal use of black pieces' efficiency, because every piece will work 100% of its capacity in this game. So knight f6, he played rook f4. h3 was as bad. Rook f4, knight e4. Time to give up the queen, because it was intolerable. Knight f2, take, bishop this, rook d2. There were a few options, but I found...
You said in your notes it was highly symbolic that it was the white queen that had to give
Yes.
itself up for this terrible
Correct.
octopus.
Yes. So, and again, white nearly, got a good material, but
now we keep on sacrificing. Yes.
the queen is rook d3 and rook c1. So, having a rook and weaken opponent's king, I don't think it's very difficult to deliver, the final blow, just to find the winning combination. Knight b2 and queen f2. It was not very difficult. Knight d2, and here I made a move that could be criticized, because after rook e2...
Well, I won't criticize it.
Yeah, but after rook e2, they would mate in 2 moves, and after rook d1, it's just in 4. But, it's a very human reaction. Don't look at anything else if you see mate in 4 with check. So rook d1, knight d1, rook e1. White resign. It's mate.